DNA is the memory of life, written in a language made of molecules instead of ink. Every cell in your body carries a tiny library where this molecular language is stored, rolled up, and carefully protected. Each strand of DNA is like a long sentence made from 4 letters, and those letters are arranged into patterns that can be read and executed. When a cell divides, it copies that sentence with extraordinary care because any mistake could change the meaning of the words it contains. Sometimes the copying is perfect, and the story of the cell continues as before with the same characters and the same plot. Sometimes a letter flips or a small phrase is repeated or deleted, and the story changes in a way that can be helpful, harmful, or neutral. Over deep time, these small changes become the raw material for evolution because reality silently edits which versions of the story can survive and spread. A planet with limited resources turns into a giant tournament where different DNA stories compete for food space and opportunities to reproduce. From the outside, it looks like nature is creative and purposeful, but under the surface, it is a patient game where patterns either persist or vanish. In evolutionary game theory, you can imagine each DNA strategy as a player with a payoff measured in surviving offspring. Some strategies invest in speed and numbers, while others invest in protection and cooperation, and the environment quietly keeps score. When conditions change, the old champions can become fragile and previously obscure. Strategies can suddenly flourish. DNA does not plan these moves ahead of time, yet the process of endless variation and selection can look eerily like problem solving. Over millions of years, this blind editing loop stacked solutions on top of solutions until simple chemical reactions grew into cells, tissues, organs, and brains. Your own nervous system is one of the most complex things DNA has ever built, and it is still being tuned with every generation. In a sense, your thoughts are what DNA is doing this century on the surface of this planet. The molecules in your neurons are descendants of molecules that once floated in ancient oceans trying not to fall apart. Now they help you write code, build instruments, raise children, and argue on the internet about the meaning of life. DNA is not only a script for bodies, it is also a script for behaviors and instincts that push memes into the world. A baby does not need a textbook to learn that faces matter, voices matter, and play matters because layers of DNA already bias the search. Those biases shape which stories feel beautiful or threatening, and which ideas you are willing to entertain long enough for them to take root. Once language appeared, memes began to flow much faster than genes leaping from brain to brain on the carrier waves of speech writing and media. The old, slow river of DNA kept running underneath, but on top of it, a new lightning-fast river of shared concepts and symbols emerged. Now, DNA builds brains that host cultures, and cultures reshape the environments that in turn select the next generation of DNA. Life became a feedback loop where molecules and meanings dance together and each influences the fate of the other. When you decide what to learn, whom to listen to, and what to share online, you are quietly steering this joint river of genes and memes. You might think your opinions are purely personal, yet they are also playing in a gigantic selection game of which ideas will survive. Some memes help groups coordinate, protect the vulnerable, and explore new possibilities, so they tend to persist. Other memes feed on fear, resentment, or simple novelty, and they can spread quickly even if they quietly damage the system that carries them. DNA has already shown that small local rules can create astonishing global order, but it has also shown that not every path leads to flourishing. Many branches of the tree of life ended abruptly when their strategies stopped working in a changing environment. Our current information environment is changing faster than any ecosystem DNA has ever faced, and that makes the selection process unstable. Attention can be hijacked by patterns that are good at spreading, but bad at helping people think clearly or cooperate. If we are not careful, our cultural evolution can get stuck in loops where outrage and distraction win the tournament. The same way, DNA can fall into harmful mutations. our information streams can fall into harmful attractors. Yet evolution also teaches that exploration and diversity are powerful antidotes to stagnation. When more types of strategies are allowed to try more solutions, the system is less likely to get trapped in a single brittle pattern. On a human scale, that looks like seeking out unfamiliar voices, testing our own beliefs, and allowing better memes to replace weaker ones. You can think of yourself as a curator for the DNA that built you, choosing which stories and practices are allowed to shape your future. Every time you pause before sharing a piece of content, you are doing a tiny act of selection on the meme pool. Every time you learn a new skill or perspective, you are adding a fresh branch to the network of possibilities that others can inherit. The Meme Flow project is one attempt to make this selection more conscious, more generous, and more reality-aligned. We are not trying to fight against DNA or against culture, but to help them talk to each other in a healthier way. That begins with simple habits, like noticing which ideas make you more curious and capable versus which ones leave you angry and stuck. It continues when you share material that lights up your mind instead of material that merely spikes your adrenaline. In the long run, the stories we amplify will decide what kinds of minds DNA keeps building. If better memes lead to more resilient communities and wiser decisions, those communities will create better conditions for the next generation of children. Those children will carry forward both the molecular code in their cells and the cultural code in their conversations. You are part of that long chain right now, connecting ancient oceans to futures we can barely imagine. DNA carried the memory of life to this moment, and memes will help decide where that memory goes next. If enough of us treat our attention and our creativity as something sacred, we can tilt evolution toward deeper understanding instead of deeper confusion. The editing loop of reality will keep running either way, but together we can choose to write kinder, smarter chapters in the story that DNA began.